Hello everyone, I am Dr. S. M. Rizwan Ahmed, Head and Associate Professor, University Department of English, Vinoba Bhave University, Hazaribagh. This is my second volume of research methodology video. In the first one, I had talked about research, its meaning, objectives and characteristic features. And the second topic which I had discussed was types of research. In my today's video, I shall be continuing the research methodology video, but today I shall be discussing two topics: research problem and hypothesis and research ethics. So let me begin from the first topic of today, that is research problem and hypothesis. One of the most difficult phases of any research project is the choice of a suitable problem. The beginner is likely to take a very long time in making his choice. In this, which is the first step of any research, the researcher should not take a hasty decision. Every problem which comes to his mind, or even that suggested by a more experienced person, may not be a fit research problem. The identification of a good research problem should be considered a discovery in itself. The problem defines the goal of the researcher in clear terms. Thus, without a problem, research cannot proceed because there is nothing to be processed from and processed towards a goal or aim. In social sciences, quite a number of researchers may be faced with this problem, that is, the problem of not being able to see a problem. Personal values play an important role in the selection of a topic for research. Of course, personal values are not only the determinants in selecting a topic for inquiry. Social conditions do often shape the preference of investigators in a subtle and imperceptible way. In fact, the selection of a topic for research is only half a way step forward. Now, how to proceed? The formulation of a problem consists in making various components of the problem explicit. John Dewey is of the opinion that it is a familiar and significant saying that a problem well put is half solved. There are three main components in the formulation of problem. The first one, the originating questions, what one wants to know. The second one, the rational, theoretical or practical, why one wants to have the questions answered. The third one, the specifying questions, possible answer to the originating questions in terms of that satisfy the rational. Now, the necessary conditions for formulating a research problem. The first one, systematic immersion in the subject matter through first-hand observation. The researcher must immerse his or herself in the subject matter area with which he or she wishes to pose a specific problem. This exercise helps a great deal in suggesting to the researcher the specific questions that may be posed for the study to answer. This process is known as pilot survey, preliminary survey, or exploratory study. The second one, study of relevant literature on the subject. This would help the researcher to know if there are certain gaps in the theories. It is only then he or she will be able to bridge this gap. Third one, discussions with persons having rich practical experience in the field of study. This is often known as experience survey, which again is an exercise at exploration. These people help in sharpening the focus of attention on specific aspects within the field. Now I shall be talking about criteria of a good problem. The first one, factors to be taken into account in the choice of research problem are both external and personal. External criteria involve such issues as newness and significance for the area, availability of data and method. The second point of criteria of a good problem, Novelty. It should be sufficiently original so that it does not involve objectionable duplication. On internet, one has to check, is your topic of research new or not? The third point, interesting. The problem should be interesting for the investigator himself. If he is not interested into, he will find challenges in proceeding his research work. His interest should be purely intellectual. Fourth point, importance. If the problem is not worthwhile, if adds to neither knowledge nor lead to any improvements in the current practices, it would be in vain set up as a discipline and to previous research findings in any way. The fifth point, feasibility and amenability. The suitability of the problem for a particular researcher is the matter of its feasibility. The investigator should be able to carry it to a successful completion. He should possess the required competence, knowledge, and understanding. He should be competent enough to develop, administer, and interpret the necessary data, gathering devices and procedures, etc. Now, sources of research problems. The research problem may be selected from the following sources. The first one, theory of one's own interest in any genre of literature. Yes, that is fiction, poetry, drama, or modern literature. The second point, daily problems. The third one, technological changes. Fourth one, unexplored areas in any discipline. Fifth point, discussion with other people. Sixth point, a researcher may select a problem for investigation from a given theory in which he has considerable interest. In such situations, the researcher must have thorough knowledge of that theory and should be sufficiently inquisitive to explore some unexplained aspects or assumption of that theory. Seventh point, research problem can also be selected on the basis of a daily experience of a researcher. Everyday problems constantly present something new and worthy of investigation, and it depends on the sharpness of the researcher's intellect to knit his daily experiences into a research problem. Eighth point, research problems can be both abstract and of applied interest. These may also be selected from those areas which have not been explored so far. Such area may be theoretical or empirical in nature. Ninth point, technological changes in a fast changing society are constantly bringing forth new opportunities for research. 10 point, many books and research articles not only suggest some additional areas of needed research, but also suggest problems for further investigation that may prove fruitful. Now, hypothesis. The derivation of a suitable hypothesis goes hand in hand with the selection of a research problem. Hypothesis is a statement temporarily accepted as true in the light of what is at the time known about the phenomenon, and it is employed as a basis for action in the search of new truth. A hypothesis is a tentative assumption drawn from knowledge and theory, which is used as a guide in the investigation of other facts and theories that are yet unknown. A hypothesis is a tentative supposition or provisional guess which seems to explain the situation under observation. A hypothesis states what we are looking for. It is proposition which can be put to a test to determine its validity. Now, the importance of hypothesis. It provides direction to research. It defines what is relevant and what is irrelevant. Second point, it sensitizes the investigator to certain aspects of situations which are relevant from the standpoint of the problem in hand. It spells the difference between precision and haphazardness, between fruitful and fruitful research. The third point, it is a guide to thinking process and the process of discovery. The fourth one, it focuses research and without it, research would be like a random and aimless wandering. Fifth point, it places clear and specific goals before us. Now, the next subtopic about hypothesis is, which I am going to talk, is the characteristics of a usable hypothesis. The criteria for judging the usability of the hypothesis are none else than those that help the hypothesis perform their designated function vis-a-vis research and the growth of knowledge. Hence, a good usable hypothesis is the one which satisfies many of the following criteria. First one, a hypothesis must be conceptually clear. Second point, it must be specific. The third point, a good hypothesis should be empirically testable. The fourth point, a good hypothesis is in agreement with the observed facts. Fifth one, it should be so designed that its test will provide an answer to original problems which forms primary purpose of the investigation. Sixth point, it must be stated in final form early in the experiment before any attempt at verification is made. Now, the difficulties in the formulation of hypothesis. First one, what are the difficulties when we formulate hypothesis? First one, lack of knowledge and clarity of the theoretical framework of the area in which the investigator chooses to work. Second one, lack of availability to make use of the theoretical framework logically. Third one, lack of acquaintance with available research techniques. This results in failure of framing the hypothesis properly. Fourth one, vagueness of the topic. This much for research. The fourth one was vagueness of the topic. So this much for the research problem and hypothesis. Now, let me come to the second topic. As I have told you, I shall be talking about hypothesis, and the next topic will be research ethics. Now let me come to the second topic, that is the importance of ethical values in research. Before coming to it, do listen. समझता है तू राज है जिंदगी, समझता है तू राज है जिंदगी, फकत ज़ौक़ परवाज है जिंदगी. Now let me talk about research ethics. Research ethics involves the application of fundamental ethical principles to a variety of topics involving research, including scientific research. The academic research enterprise is built on a foundation of trust. Researchers trust that the results reported by others are sound. Society trusts that the results of research reflect an honest attempt by scientists and other researchers to describe the world accurately and without bias. But this trust will endure only if the academic and scientific community devotes itself to exemplifying and transmitting the values associated with ethical research conduct. There are many ethical issues to be taken into serious consideration for research. Sociologists need to be aware of having the responsibility to secure the actual permission and interests of all those involved in the study. They should not misuse any of the information discovered, and there should be a certain moral responsibility maintained towards the participants. There is a duty to protect the rights of the people in the study as well as their privacy and sensitivity. The confidentiality of those involved in the observation must be carried out, keeping their anonymity and privacy secure. Research ethics in a medical context is dominated by principles, an approach that has been criticized as being decontextualized. Research ethics is different throughout different types of educational communities. Every community has its own set of morals. Now, what are the codes and policies of research ethics? Given the importance of ethics for the conduct of research, it should come as no surprise that many different professional associations, government agencies, and universities have adopted specific codes, rules, and policies relating to research. Many government agencies such as the National Institutes of Research (NIR), the National Science Foundation (NSF), the Food and Drug Administration (FDA), Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, etc. follow their own guidelines for research ethics. Now, the following is a rough and general summary of some ethical principles that various codes address. The first one, honesty. Strive for honesty in all scientific, social, and literary communications. Report data, results, methods, and procedures and publication status honestly. Do not fabricate, falsify, or misinterpret data. Do not deceive colleagues, research sponsors, or the public. Second point, objectivity. Try to avoid bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretation, peer review, personal decisions, grant writing, expert testimony, and other aspects of research where objectivity is expected or required. Avoid or minimize bias or self-deception. The third point, which should be kept in mind, the research ethics. Integrity. Keep your promises and agreements. Act with sincerity. Strive for consistency of thought and action. Fourth point. Avoid careless errors and negligence. Carefully and critically examine your own work and the work of your peers. Keep good records of research activities such as data collection, research design, and correspondence with agencies or journals. The fifth point, which should be kept in mind, openness. Share ideas, data, results, tools, and resources. Be open to criticism and new ideas. The sixth point, never plagiarize. Honor patents, copyrights, and other forms of intellectual property. Do not use unpublished data, methods, or results without permission. Give proper acknowledgement or credit to all contributors. Confidentiality. Protect confidential communications such as papers or grants submitted for publication. Personal records, trade or military secrets, and patient records. Eighth point, responsible publication. Publish in order to advance research and scholarship, not to advance your own career. The ninth point, which should be kept in mind, social responsibility. Strive to promote social good and prevent or mitigate social harms through research, public education, and advocacy. Never try to hurt the religious feelings of any community through your research work. The 10th point, which should be kept in mind as research ethics. Human subjects protection. When conducting research on human subjects, minimize harms and risks and maximize benefits. Respect human dignity, privacy, and autonomy. Take special precautions with vulnerable populations and strive to distribute the benefits and burdens of research fairly. I would like to say adieu today by reciting three famous motivational rhymed couplets from the well-known poet Dr. Iqbal. मंजिल से आगे मंजिल तलाश कर, मंजिल से आगे मंजिल तलाश कर, मिल जाए तुझको दरिया तो समंदर तलाश कर, हर शीशा टूट जाता है पत्थर की चोट से, पत्थर ही टूट जाए वो शीशा तलाश कर, हर शख्स जल रहा है अदावत की आग में, हर शख्स जल रहा है अदावत की आग में, उस आग को बुझा दे वो पानी तलाश कर. Thank you for watching my video. See you soon. Bye bye.